is your day today? Today we have participants from Zoom, Facebook Live at FRCS Learning Center, Geylang Serai Facebook page, and also Geylang Serai YouTube page as well. Good morning, everyone. Those on the Zoom, can you show us some love? Yes, good morning and good morning, everyone. If you like our show today, the Zoom participants, I would like you to show us some love. As well, you can say hi, your virtual hi, and also some love, all right? So this event make it possible. We like to thank Skill Future Singapore, and also Geylang Serai Community Club for having us here at this very nice virtual CC. Yes, today is the Skill Future Month 2021, and today is 21st August 2021. This session is about 2.5 hours. It's a fireside chat. Do it to change your future. It is an equal opportunity sector as well, right? Okay, without further ado, just run down. We need your feedback as well. Participants over at Facebook, YouTube, and also on the Zoom, we love to hear from you as well, and SSG would like to hear from you as well. Today, we are very privileged and honored to have someone joining us as well. Mayor of Southeast CDC, advisor to Marine Parade GRC grassroots organization, Mr. Fahmi Aliman. He is over on the Zoom as well. Do you spot him? If you do spot him, also show some love over the Zoom, and you can also show some love over the Facebook Live and even the YouTube as well, all right? Yes, okay, so without further ado, I would like to have Mayor Mr. Fahmi to give a welcoming address for this fireside chat. Over to you, Fahmi.
Hi, hello everyone. Good morning. Good to see everyone, lively. Again, good to see the panelists and the moderator, Dr. Koh. We have a very wide finalist there, very good experience. And I think today will be a very good session for people to ask questions. I think all of us know that, as the government ease up the COVID-19 safety measures, I think we are obliged, and I think we should be continue to keep everything safe and abide to the SMM. I think we are not out of the woods yet, but I think we are starting to grow and starting to understand and how to live together with the pandemic. This is what we call the endemic. So again, this pandemic not just affected Singapore, but all over the world. So I think especially in the industries where, we thought that actually we are insulated from all this pandemic, but as you can see that during this pandemic, there's a lot of in sectors, industry that actually are really affected. And when they are affected, the main thing is actually the workers. So we can see workers being displaced, workers going to another sector. Some of them even do not want to upskill and hoping that that everything will come back to normal. And I think all of us know that we will not be going back to pre-pandemic era. So there's a need for us to continue to upskill and continue to do well and future-proof, ourselves so that we can continue to be relevant in the post-pandemic era. I think digital, all of us are now living in a digital age, and I think many sectors are starting to use technology, to set different business model, to encourage people to go digitalize and so on and so forth. So I think in this area, there are many workers, okay? And I think we are trying to open up to more workers from different range, even people with disabilities also joining to IT. And then, of course, we are getting more women to join into IT so that, they can continue to help the family in getting more pay to the household. All right. So similarly, I think the ex-offenders also have this opportunity for them to land a job in the IT sector. And I thought that today session will be a very good one, a fruitful one for people to ask questions, to understand what are the concerns and maybe alleviate some of those concerns that people have in the IT sector. And I think looking at the panelists that you have now is fantastic people with a lot of knowledge and experience that can actually give some good tips and even connect you to join them in the IT sector. So again, wishing everyone a wonderful weekend, a wonderful session here, so that continue to ask questions, discuss, so that we have more fruitful and more informative discussion this morning. And again, today is also our the National Day ceremony postponed from 9th of August. So I just on that light want to wish everyone happy National Day again. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor Fahmi. Yes, today this is being organized by Foundation of Rotary Club of Singapore Learning Center. Joining us, Honorable Principal Mr. Kelvin Chan is going to give some background of who is Foundation of Rotary Club of Singapore. Over to you, come on, Kelvin.
Thank you, Angela. I'm Kelvin, the Honorary Principal of the Foundation of Rotary Clubs Learning Center. So first of all, I would like to welcome you to this event, Fireside Chat, and good morning to Mr. Mayor too, right? And I will first start by telling you who we are. The Foundation of Rotary Clubs is actually formed by 23 Rotary Clubs in Singapore. And we are an IPC status charity, and we run 3 centers. One of them is the Family Service Center in Clementi, where we provide services to needy families. And we are setting up an elderly care and caregiver center in Bukit Batok, and you'll be in operation sometimes later part of this year. And the third center is actually the Learning Center. That's where we are from, right? And in the Learning Center, we actually conduct different types of training programs. We have programs for the social service sector, right, supported under the NCSS funding. We also have programs for senior, right, which are supported under the National Civil Academy. And we are also an ATO under the Skill Future WSQ framework that offers a lot of WSQ courses. And for today's event, right, we would encourage you to attend training and to learn about new things to prepare yourself, right, for the jobs of the future. So thank you very much. I will now hand over to the MC, Angela, to continue the session. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Principal Mr. Kelvin. Today, I believe you may have a lot of questions to ask, but instead of flooding inside the Zoom chat, flooding inside the Facebook Live, or even on the YouTube, we may not be able to spot your question. But instead, we have actually created a palette. Okay, so the tech team will actually post the link of the palette, and even on the screen, you could also see the QR code. So you can either scan or click on the link for the question and answer. It's a palette, and right now you can actually click on it and take the screen on the QR code as well. So without much further ado, we will start the session. First of all, I would like to introduce the moderator. Today's session, I know, is all men. Being the MC of women, can we go into each sector? Let's see what do they say. First of all, I'd like to introduce Mr. Anderson Tan. He is a serial entrepreneur and an investor as well. And he runs a number of registered training provider as well. So let's hear from him later on or more. So Mr. Anderson Tan has taken his seats already. Yeah, let's give him some love and welcome him over the Zoom chat, and then type something onto the Zoom chat as well, and even the emoticons as well. All right. Next, Dr. Koh Tak Suan is someone I know when I started to learn about adult learning and taking my ACTA. So I learned from, so I get to know him from someone in Institute of Adult Learning as well. He actually runs Institute of Adult Learning and also runs, the executive director with SkillsFuture as well. So we are very honored to have Dr. Ko Tak-Suan with us as well. And both of us, the two moderators, in fact, are our Learning Center Technical Advisor. Next, I would like to welcome all the panelists. Please take your seat. Thank you very much.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to this Fireside Chat. All right, and today is Singapore's 56th birthday, so a very good and happy birthday to Singapore. I know we are all in the midst of a pandemic, and I think many of our lives have been affected in one way or another by this pandemic. But one good thing that has actually evolved from this pandemic, and I'm sure all of you would actually agree with me, is that we are learning new things, all right? Some of the things that we do now, we have never done before. Like, for example, holding a fireside chat that is both live in premise as well as online. That's something new for me as well, okay? And for us to hold our NDP, right, not on the 9th of August, that's also new for us, okay? So I think in life, right, we just have to be agile, we just have to be adaptable, and we just have to keep learning new things. All right? And I think IT, right, the space of IT, which used to be a space for only a small group of people, has actually become part of our lives, part of the business life of many businesses, part of the lives of everyone. Like what Mayor Fahmi mentioned, okay, IT is now, okay, part and parcel of the things that we do. All right, so in today's Fireside Chat, our theme is on IT. All right, do it, which is IT. All right, do it, and you'll see that your lives will change. Okay, today with me in this panelist, okay, and with Tak-Suan as the co-moderator, right, we are very privileged to invite 4 young men, all right, who have actually started changing their lives, all right, by going into the IT space. All right, first on the panelists, I would like to introduce Joel. All right, Joel, I've known him for more than 10 years. He started his IT business, okay, when he left the NS. All right, so straight from NS, he decided that IT is for him, and he started his business from there. All right, he started from a one-man show, okay, to now a team that provides hardware solutions and hardware services, okay, for businesses. Second panelist on the team is Aaron. Aaron started his career in accounting, finance, and he's also very strong in sales, all right? But this year, he decided that he wants to start his second part of his career in IT, right? So he's now one of the co-investors, all right, in this IT boutique IT company known as TechZoo, and they provide boutique IT solutions, bespoke IT solutions to businesses as well. Okay. Third in the panelists is Donovan. Right. Donovan has a life across different sectors. He started his life in his career in law. Right. He also moved into management consulting, and now he also is the COO of Origin, okay, that provides workplace solutions, right? Because as more and more companies, okay, move towards a hybrid mode of working, all right, and learning, all right, they believe that a dedicated workplace solution will be very useful to improve the productivity of companies. And fourth in the panelist is Colin. Colin started his life as an interior designer specializing in hospitality space design. Okay, and 2 years ago, right, he decided to have career change, and together with his partner, they co-founded Ascend Interactive, okay, that specializes in virtual and augmented reality. Right? So these 4 young men, okay, will give you an insight, okay, into how how their lives actually change, all right, as they move into the world of IT. Okay, so that's one. All right, I would like to ask you a question. Okay.
Okay, sure, thank you.
Can you share with us, I mean, being the most elder in the team, all right, can you share with us, when did you encounter your first computer?
Oh, okay. Thank you, Anderson, for that question. Well, it was a surprise, though. Anyway, so it's in the 80s, perhaps, when I first joined the Army, right? When we were asked to, use computer. In fact, I introduced computer-aided training in the Army as well.
Right. Okay. I remember my first encounter with a PC. Okay, was almost 38 years ago. Right? And at that time, PC, I'm not sure whether you have heard things like, 80, 86, that kind of terminology, right? But PC at that time, to us, is a luxury. Okay? And I think times have changed so fast. Okay? And technology, like I mentioned, is no longer just something for a dedicated group of people. Technology is in our lives, everywhere, every time. Okay? So that's one. Why not you start off by digging into the lives of these entrepreneurs, okay? How they started.
Thank you, Anderson. Thank you. Good morning, everyone. It's a bright and sunny Saturday, and thank you for making time to join us at this Fire Chat. And incidentally, today is also World Entrepreneur Day. So it's just apt that we have 4 fine young men who will probably share, their journey as to how they started their IT journey. So to start off, we have Joel. Joel, can you share with us what was the spark that facilitated you, or at least encouraged you to start your IT entrepreneurial journey?
I tend to think that I'm quite good lah, okay, because right, I was being groomed, in fact. When I actually, in my secondary school days, I actually did my first part-time work, earning extra pocket money from an internet cafe. Back then, the internet cafe hype was very big lah, to some sense. So, but then right, the boss that I'm working for, right, keep on drilling a certain quote in me. The quote simply states, Joel, you need to find a skill that can be monetized. But then I was like thinking, what is this guy talking about? I'm just here to earn my pocket money so that perhaps I can buy more dual MasterCards. Okay? But then, 4 to 5 years later, when I was in the Army, I started to think, wow, after Army, what to do? So then suddenly this quote that he kept on drilling me came to my mind. And I was like, oh, being a hardcore gamer like myself, I built my own computer and stuff like that. Why not? I help those homeowners to repair their computer, to build computers. And then it all started off through that journey where I started off with consumers, laptop, desktop repairs, troubleshooting, reformat, and stuff like that. And then right now, 6 years down the road, I'm in the corporate clients. I handle IT maintenance for our clients from server levels to laptops to desktops. And yes, so that's how I started my IT journey, I would say.
Thank you, thank you. In fact, as you probably agree with me that skills, as they say, is the currency of today, right? So as you go along, it could be a habit, hobby from the start, right? But end up, you find that this could be also something that you pick up consciously or unconsciously, but subsequently become your bread and butter.
Yes, correct.
No, any other questions, panelists, you would like to ask Joel in his journey?
So thanks for sharing your story. So I'm actually quite curious. All of us do have a mentor before we start our journey. So, for a mentor, what besides his the one quote that you have been using throughout your whole journey, is there any principle or any things that he actually do that inspire you to take on this entrepreneurship journey. I mean, all of us, we all know that being an entrepreneur is not it's not easy. It's not every day rainbows and butterfly, seeing that Alibaba got IPO or all, but they don't see the hard work when Jack Ma just started. So, I mean, what actually drive you to actually hold on in this journey? Because you yourself have been holding on for like 6 or 8 years. That's pretty awesome.
I would say the mentors he's the kind of mentor which I would say I will just drop you into the deep sea and let you survive yourself. But then it is I would say got pros and cons. Okay? I'm more of a person which I have to really think through the entire process of how the entire journey is like, and step by step I'll plan out. And he will just drop me in there and then just say, oh, you go and do this, you go and think about this. You use your hands. What can you make money out of your hands? So all these quotes that he's have been drilling me has always just think like, wow, I quite jialat for the first 5 years, I only earning what, $200 profit, and then it's like, wow, I really have to meet my ends meets my responsibility. I have to earn extra money. So I keep on thinking on how to earn more money. Yeah, correct. So actually, honestly, the matter of fact, mentors or not, I would say in the early days is more of the money matters. The money motivation keep on driving me to take on additional risks on how to even think of such skill sets, how to monetize whatever that I have in my head, and stuff like that. Yeah.
Well, if I may ask you, Joel, I think besides self-taught and self-learning and acquire, some of this through your interest and passion about IT and gaming and so on, right? Did you actually take any occasion or time to pick up something formally, like a program on IT or repairing or what's up?
Throughout the years, I would say yes. It's a part and parcel of things. My mom always say, hey Joel, you no diploma, no degree, no nothing. After IT come out already, right? I went to the army. After army come out, I started my own business. So I had nothing to fall back on. So she always say, hey Joel, if you are so skilled in this area, right, why not you go and take a look at those professional adult learning certs? Like in my industry, there are like CCNA, CCNP, CEH, ITIL, PMP. So all this along the way, when I took up projects and when I took on more and more government contracts, and all this actually had been a requirement for me to take up such professional certs to actually say that, hey, actually I can do this. Hey, I can actually do this. So, but all this is already at the top of my mind, at the tip of my fingers. So I just have to briefly run through the entire examination and just say, okay, at least I got something to say that, hey, I got this.
Wonderful. It's good to know that at least in Singapore, there's a lot of abundant opportunity where you can actually solicit help either from mentor or from the network of practitioner.
Yes,
or even
that's
from SkillsFuture for that matter. There are courses increasingly available for different folks who wants to do different things, right?
Yes.
So is there a specific example that you can quote in using SkillsFuture or any besides those professional certifications?
SkillsFutures wise, I would say no.
So maybe you can elaborate why?
I would probably think when I went to look out for like NTUC, when I look out for maybe AGB, those websites, right? Those SkillsFuture courses are more generic and to some certain extent dumbed down. Okay, but however, those professional certifications that I do take, they are very practical and very hands-on to the extent where if you do not have any prior knowledge in that field, you will have problems passing the exam even. Right. I even heard of one professional certifications. The examination is 12 hours. Yeah, and those can't be taken by anyone without any prior knowledge in the industry.
All right, agree, thanks. In fact, as you probably know as well, SkillsFuture framework is a broad framework. Right? Of course, helping individual who wants to plan a career will decide what type of industry they want to go in, and from there, with a general appreciation of the intro, then they know which industry probably is suited to them. So that exactly your point, where if you are deep into your IT expertise, obviously the actual hands-on certification program will be more aligned to what you need. Yeah.
Correct. But however, for SkillsFutures wise, I would say they also give a good head start to actually embark in the IT journey. Like for example, whenever I hire people, when I look through their resume, I actually don't look for their certs. I don't care about what they study at. I actually look more towards the professional certifications of what kind they went through. Like example, Litton Academy. Litton Academy actually does pretty good SkillsFuture courses. They actually help midlife career people to actually embark into IT industry. And those certifications, those courses that they run through, which I personally also went to take a look, and it was quite well done. So whoever that went through those courses, I will actually take even special care attention to say, okay, they actually went through something which I went through before. It's good. Yeah, it's good. It's something that they actually teach more practically, theory. At least when they talk to my clients at the time, they won't sound so like they don't know what they're doing. Like, yes.
Thank you for that. All right, so let's listen to our next panelist, Aaron. Aaron, I think you have your own unique story to share as well. So please.
Yeah, thanks for having me here. So I believe all of us have a story. So I actually started entrepreneurship when I was 19, when I was doing my A-levels. So didn't really like to study, so I decided to do some business. I'm into flyer printing and flyer distribution. Yeah, so it's a very traditional way of doing marketing during that time. That's before Groupon time. So I go to each of the beauty salon and the tuition center and ask them, do you need flyers and printing, and then distribute. So it could be a HDB door to door. It could be just on the street distribute. So that's how I started. And I use YouTube to learn how to design flyers, and eventually I went into it. At 90 years old, I also skipped school and to meet my customer. So it's a very fun journey. And then one day my customer asked me, Aaron, do you do website? I think that is the shiny point that turned me into IT. Of course, during 19 years old, you don't know what can be done, what can't be done. I just said yes to my client. I've tried to figure out. That's why I been exposed to Wix, WordPress, and all using YouTube to learn and then design one for my client. So I'm not sure whether the website still exists, but yeah. So that's how it started. So after 2 years after 2 years, I went to NS. And then I saw my own business field and realized that is not a business, that's not a company, it's just a self-employed person. So after NS, I went out, I also tried many things. I tried opening up a website that help that do tailor-make clothes. So basically, there's a guide video on how to measure yourself. Then you can key your orders, the orders sent to Bangkok. So because me myself, I like to make my office clothes in Bangkok. So I sent to my Bangkok supplier and came back. In the end, after 3 months, I have to close it down because none of the clothes are fitting. So that's how I feel my second one.
Outgrow.
None of the clothes fitting because the measurement is wrong and the way they take it is not correct. Yeah. So that's my second one. Then the third one is actually so I actually like entrepreneurship. I actually like IT a lot. I'm always very inspired how a single technology and a single idea change the way we live and change the way we do things. So That is inspired by Jack Ma and Elon Musk and Steve Jobs. So I came up with Fifth Brain. That's my third startup. Very honored that it was incubated by SMU. And what Fifth Brain do is startup events. You pull all the entrepreneurs together as a community and connect them for business opportunity and co-founder matching. So during that point, it's just running by an idea, but without a business model. So running and failing a lot of times, so I decided maybe take a break, and then went to adult training and education industry. That's when I learned from my boss. He's been very generous to me, showing me a lot of different business process systems, how actually to grow and manage a company. So after more than 5 years with him, and I decided this is my fourth one. So that's how I started TechZoo, with an idea and with technology this time. Yeah, so that's how I started my journey.
Wonderful. Thank you very much. I think it's an exciting journey though. But from what you share, I think from an entrepreneur perspective, obviously, you know, there's always a different experience that you acquire, right? What would you say that keep you going despite, you know, you fail once and twice and third time, and now you're in the fourth entrepreneur startup idea?
Yeah, so drive is very important. I mean, we could have the skill set, we could have the resources, but one without a drive couldn't utilize all this. For me, the drive is I want to create something that is useful for community, to the society, and that's why keep me going. And of course, I like how ideas grow and be executed to become a reality. I think that's most of us able to achieve when we saw our baby grow into something. Right? So I think that's the one thing that drives me, and that's the one thing that keep me excited every day. Because as an entrepreneur, every single day is a different day. It could be a different fire to rescue, or a different award, or reward that we'll be receiving. That's the thing that drives me.
Interesting. What else do you think is important from your entrepreneur point of view that besides, of course, your drive and your fire in the bucket list, so to speak, that you keep you going, right? Of course, day-to-day survival is also important, right?
Yes.
So if business are not doing well for that matter, what would the kind of strategy you look forward to so that you can stay, able to survive your business?
I think everything is important. For entrepreneur. Well, from my perspective, it's always customer first. Customer feedback, customer needs. Always try to create a win-win situation, whereby your customer win, you also win. I think that will allow us to always adapt to the market, always being very responsive for what is the customer needs and what's the market needs, and do the adjustment. Being like what Edison has mentioned, we have to be very adaptive. So I also think that execution is also very important. Once you have an idea, don't sit on it. Execute it as soon as possible. It's either today or tomorrow. Full stop. That's all. So I think that is the few things that we have to look into as an entrepreneur.
Okay. Maybe one more question, if you don't mind, right? It's like okay, while that is in place, when you are in kind of a situation where you're not sure what to do, what's your network of help that you have, that you can reach out to? Do you have mentors, or do you have network of practitioners who you can consult with, or how do you actually stay in touch with some of this, latest technology or stuff that you're doing?
Yeah, definitely. I do have a mentor, which is my ex-boss. Okay. So if in terms of any business related issues or questions, he's just a text away or call away. So I think end of the day, I'm very grateful that we are in Singapore. Singapore is really a land of opportunity. It's just a matter of how you manage your time and how driven you are to actually achieve your goals. We have so many government support when it comes to skill sets. I mean, according to my knowledge, we are the only few country that has very heavily subsidized courses. It can be ranged from not only IT, we have healthcare, sales, soft skills, technical skills, and so on. So I think that's something that we should really look at. What kind of courses that you are taking, I would say it doesn't really matter, but it's the the momentum and it's the learning process, it's journey that I think every of us have to go through. So we always keep learning. I mean, our mind is like engine. If you have not been using for too long, like 5 years or 10 years, and you try to train yourself to equip yourself a new skill, it'll be difficult. So even myself, until today, every Saturday and Sunday is my learning day. I have to learn something more. Yeah, I learn something. I might not be in the technology. I'm not a programmer. I only know how to learn read like very simple HTML code. That's all, full stop. Yeah, so there's a lot of programming language I can explore, and also I explore like about digital marketing, the sales, how the US are doing, and we are very honored. We are we're very blessed that there's a lot of free resources out there in the internet, and of course, sometimes internet is not a very structured way of learning. So it's always there. There's always causes that are very heavily funded by the government or subsidized by the government that keep you going by provide you a very structured learning journey to at least kickstart your learning journey, acquiring a new skills.
Thank you. I think that's wonderful because as you rightly mentioned about in Singapore, we are really fortunate in the sense that the government has facilitated the abundant opportunity to learn, right? And in fact, SkillsFuture, or for that matter, lifelong learning, is really how our nation grew from a fishing village to today, the first world country in Singapore. So therefore, I think all the more we want to take this opportunity also to remind every audience and everybody that actually lifelong learning is the core pillar of your life, right? If you capitalize on this opportunity and have this right mindset of learning, there's nothing you can't do, right, in that sense. So thank you for that testimonial. I think that's wonderful. Anderson, back to you. Maybe you can introduce our two other young panelists.
Thanks, Tatsuan. Okay. Thanks, Joel and Aaron, for sharing, your early entrepreneur days. Okay, Donovan, I understand you started your career in HR, and then you moved into law. In my opinion, HR people, lawyers are the worst entrepreneurs. They are the worst, all right? Because entrepreneurs always look for gaps and make it into a big hole. Then we climb over, right? Okay, so as lawyers, you're not allowed to enlarge the gap, right? That is very dangerous, okay? So would you like to share with us, how you actually decide to live that life and, get into an entrepreneurial life?
Thanks, Anderson. So actually, it's quite an interesting story, right? As you mentioned, I did start my education in psychology and HR, right? And then after I finished my first degree, I was thinking what to do at that point in time, right? And at that point in time, I was a bit still unsure about what I really would like to do, and I was applying to HR positions, right? And at that point in time, I was just wondering, what would it be like to try law, for example, because I had a few friends who were lawyers as well, and they said, well, why don't you give it a go? So this time, to make sure that I could actually do well in the course, and I would enjoy it, right? I did some homework. I went to intern in a law firm, which was very difficult because almost nobody would hire you as an intern if you are not a current law student. So I found out the hard way, right? But I found somebody who was a really good mentor. He took me in for a few months, and I learned the ropes. And then I spent about half a year in Changi Paralegal. It was also a very good opportunity for me to see how in-house counsel was like, right? And I came away from that experience learning a few things, like basically you had to learn some grit, right? If you wanted something, and many people were closing doors in your face, right? Because they say you're not a law student, right? You can't intern at a firm. You just have to keep sending, you have to keep trying. And I think that's a very important entrepreneurial trait. I think we all learn in one way or another that you have to have grit, a bit thick skin, so that was my first entrepreneurial lesson. And after that, I went to law school, right? I graduated in a postgraduate degree, and I went out to practice. And the first thing I realized was that when we go into corporate world, right, and it's not just limited to law, right, in the large MNCs, right, sometimes you have subpar HR practices you might see in a firm. And because at the end of the day, the company is really the people that join it, right? And if the people that join the company are not, they don't put HR first, right? You start to see all kinds of problems like turnover, right? You see people leaving because it's not an enjoyable work environment to be in, right? So even though I was practicing law, these lessons kind of seeped in, right? And I was applying, I was seeing for myself what HR was like. But you're absolutely right, Anderson. So when I left law, right, I was actually an accidental entrepreneur. So what happened was decided that, after practice for about a year, I was looking at, I enjoyed the reading of law, but practice wasn't as fun. And I felt the calling to do something else, right? Something more exciting to me. And I actually ended up working for an entrepreneur first, as a salaried employee. And I saw for myself firsthand, the pace was a lot faster, dynamic, right? You had to learn new things every day because if you're, especially starting in a SME and a startup, right? You wear many different hats. I think we've all been there, right? Like, you do business development, you do ops, you do customer service, you develop new product, right? Basically, if you don't move, nothing moves, right? So there's a very good impetus for that. And after I joined that person, I decided to, let's try something of my own. So I moved totally from something different from like law into cleaning, right? Office cleaning. So that was a whole different ballgame altogether.
From a lawyer, you became a cleaner.
Yeah, precisely. Yeah, that's right. All
right.
Yeah. It was quite an interesting thing because you wake up at 5 a.m. in case your cleaners can't make it, right? And then you I went on to the same law firms and the same CBDs where I used to work, and I went in there and said, "Hi, I'm your cleaner." So it's also a humbling experience, yeah. But the point being that I think one of the lessons I learned was when you come out from HR and you come out from law, right, as a lawyer, you realize that in some ways, those skill sets prepare you as an entrepreneur because you don't shy away from contracts. You understand how business is done, how to protect yourself, right, and your organization. But at the same time, there can be some interference as well from your past life because, like you aptly put, right, lawyers are all risk adverse. I want to cover everything off, right? I want to have my contracts that are so tight, right? I want to, and you can't do that in business. Sometimes you have to assess for yourself, right? What is the acceptable risk, right? Because if you try to cover everything off, you'll be paralyzed, right? You'll not move at all, and you can't do business. So you're right. There's some pros and there's some cons having my past life in that.
Okay, good. Donovan, thanks for sharing that. Okay, I attest to that fact that coming from a very educated background, right, can be a challenge when it comes to doing business, right? So how did you overcome that mindset of being a lawyer to a cleaner?
Well, it's just a matter of looking at it. You don't look at it as what you're doing, right? You look at it more in the case of, this is my business, right? And the business happens to be cleaning. So whatever you do, whether it's cleaning, law, or even IT, for example, right? It's a question of do you professionalize and do you understand the environment which you're working in, right? At the end of the day, if you have that kind of mindset, right, then you're outcome driven, right? Then it doesn't matter, what background you're from, how educated you are. Because I can tell you that coming from law into cleaning, I did not know anything about cleaning. I had to go for a WSQ course on cleaning, right? Because I had to get a license for the company to clean, right? So I had to learn about cleaning agents. I had to learn about the different methods, and you'd be surprised, right? Everyone thinks it's so easy. I can tell you, we had a test to do, and it was not easy to pass, because you had to pass the qualification at the end, right? So it's really about the attitude you have, I would say.
Yes. In fact, when I started my business 18 years ago, right, one of the businesses that I started was a cafe. Okay, and I remember very clearly there was one night I only had one customer sitting at one far corner of the cafe because there was no business. All right? And I was cleaning, I was washing. And I overheard this customer, right, talking either to herself or to me, I couldn't really discern, but she said, "Why is this very educated person washing dishes?" And at that point in time, I felt really very disillusioned because I spent so many years of my life, studying and graduating with first class, with masters and all that, and I end up washing dishes, just like what Donovan did, right? Being a lawyer, becoming a cleaner. And I struggled. That night, I struggled, whether I should go back to corporate life. But then I realized something, this image of Mahatma Gandhi spinning his own cloth. And then it dawned on me that, hey, when Mahatma Gandhi, also a lawyer, all right, or was a lawyer, right, when he was spinning his own cloth, what would be going on in his mind? And I realized our minds must not be confined by our surrounding. And I realized, okay, like what Donovan shared, right? It is not what you are doing, but what your mind can dream and hope and work to achieve. Okay, so I want to really affirm, your choice. Now, I think this whole journey is going to be very tough. Okay, now what made you move into an IT kind of related work? What made you move, or do you see IT as a significant part of your future entrepreneurship journey?
Thanks, Anderson, for that question. I actually think that IT is going to be a significant part of my journey going forward. It is as far as startups go, right, I've been in quite a few, like 3 or 4 by now, right? Some of them I've been founders as well. But never have I gone into the sector of IT yet, right? And this is the first time I'm actually holding the reins doing IT. And it's a really, I'm not gonna lie to you, it's a steep climb, right? It's a very steep learning curve, right? But at the same time, if you're looking at it from, let's say, the idea of like business models, right? And if you're looking at a platform or something which is scalable, right? So the concept of scale, right, is very important because I learned this when I was doing an office cleaning company, right? When you're dealing with those kind of companies and in that kind of industry, right, you may hire X number of cleaners and you get more clients, right? And when you get more clients, it's great. Operations becomes more of a strain. It's always a balance between operations and sales, right? And operations get strained, right? But then you have to hire more cleaners, and then at some point you need to hire a supervisor to look after the team. And then I learned a very hard lesson there about scale. So whatever margin you got from all your clients before, right, you would then have to put that into supervisors, right? Exactly, right? And so it was a business that scaled sideways, right, I would say. Not that it couldn't be done, it could, but for that kind of effort and that time to grow your client base, it was difficult. At the same time, when you look at IT, right, it's a very different situation here. Not to say IT is a bed of roses. IT has its own challenges, and more often than not, IT challenges is the upfront development costs, right? So when you are developing something, right, you have an idea, right, and you have a MVP, or a minimum viable product, right, which you want to test in the market, right, and at the same time, you have to pay people to make that MVP. Unless you are a coder yourself and it's a small project, you can do everything yourself, right? Otherwise, there's significant upfront costs. But once those costs are overcome, right, and your MVP is something which applies to the market and the market receives it well, right? Of course, that's where other skills involved come in, right? Like market testing, research, right? Talking to people, ensuring that whatever you do, design thinking is really user-driven from the ground up, right? But let's say you pass all that, right? Then it becomes scalable. So this idea of scale, right? Because then you have invested X number of hours, right, into that product. Then you can go on to every single person, and the more each client you get, right, you build upon what you've already cost, right, and built, and it scales vertically. It doesn't scale this way, right? So that is one of the lessons which I learned, and I think that that's probably why I believe that IT would definitely be, a significant part of what I do going forward.
Okay, thanks, Donovan. All right, now I'd like to put Colin on the hot seat, all right? Okay, Colin, I know your background is in interior design, okay, and you spent good years particularly focusing in the hospitality sector, okay? And now, you just, I think, if I'm not mistaken, about what, 3 years, 2 years, 3 years ago, right? You co-founded a company, right, looking into AR and VR, augmented reality and virtual reality. So what made you switch line, from interior design into this kind of mixed reality kind of technology?
Okay, prior to founded this Ascent Interactive Studio, right, what I had previously was 12 years of experience in interior design and hospitality. So right now it is actually based on the current COVID situations that we are actually facing, right? We cannot travel, and then the industry prior to that is a bit going downside. So why not take a step back and then do a career switch? And then because of these current situations, we're having a hard time adapting. So why not close the gap and then try to explore more in the industry itself? So therefore, we founded Ascent Interactive Studio. So in order to adapt to these situations, so for people which you cannot travel, you can actually virtually go and enjoy what you want to see, or as an aspect, you can actually tie up with agencies and all that to make sure that, oh, okay, at least I went here before, at least I went there before. Although you're not physically there, but you can actually understand or go to places where you haven't been to, and you can see it through virtually.
Okay, so Calvin, just now you mentioned that because of the pandemic, there is a downturn in your previous company, all right, and because of that, you decided to switch. So can I say that you are an entrepreneur by circumstances? Or is this a choice that you actually actively made? Entrepreneur by circumstance means bo pian. Bo seng li already, no business already, so I've got to change. Entrepreneur by choice means bo tap, still got business, but I want to change, I want to pursue something.
Probably I should go with the second. Both have still got business and we can go for a change because it will soon be a norm. All right, it will, when you go back and then, oh, it's still here, it's still there. Okay, no worries. Okay, let's move on. Right, everywhere. Okay, first and foremost, what you see the most often thing, QR code. You can scan where? Safe entry here, there. Oh, pay money. SGQR. Okay, pay money. QR code. Hey, why not think about something about QR? You can have your business card in QR. You can see your information. You can actually QR that thing, and then you have a videography, pictures, anything. From QR, you can export it. Okay, that's why how QR coming slowly. Everybody, oh, QR. Okay, let's scan this. It's a norm already. That's why I bought up, and then let's move on.
Okay, so in this case, right, in AR, VR, do you have prior knowledge and experience? Okay, or is it something that you pick up along the way? And also how your prior, skills in interior design, okay, were they of any use to you, when you move into this area of business?
Okay, prior to going into AR, VR, right, I am passionate as a 3D modeler. So I model some of the 3D figurines and all that. It also allows me to understand how different software use. For example, Unity, Unreal Engines. Those are the software whereby you can do VR and AR. So all this, you have to do some research. Okay, which are the short courses, professional certification courses is actually helping you to do all this. So as a result, I see, majors is good. So I joined them, and then I have the professional skill from AR, VR, and then mixed reality. So it is a very OJT thing, on-job training. So prior to that, actually, I have no set skill of coding, right? I only can model out things that is required. But as far as it is concerned, okay, they are a nice guy, and IMDA is actually heavily subsidizing all this. So for those who are having a hard time thinking what to do, right, make sure that you have some passion in it, and then you can make a career switch. Right, in this case, right, for me, it's a career switch towards ID to IT. So in the ways whereby prior to all this, I have learned that, okay, so I don't need to have set skills. I can actually make out of all this to conduct lessons and all that.
Right, okay, thanks Colin. Okay, so I think Colin made a very interesting comment about ID, interior design, to IT, okay? And there is, among the four panelists, actually you can see that only Joel, okay, didn't have to go through this transition phase, right? He went NS and then he started his own. Okay, the other three panelists, all right, Aaron, Donovan, and Colin, actually had to go through this transition phase, okay? Including myself, right? I used to be an engineer, a very good one, okay? And then I decided, no, that's not my life. I want, you know, to impact people, all right? That's how I go into the business of education and training. Okay, so we went through some form of transition, okay? And I must say that transition is not easy, okay? Now, my next question, okay, of which I think maybe Tasuan, you should ask the next question about, you know, how education and all that, yeah.
Yes, right, absolutely. I was about to say also that the fact that all of you have different education background, and in a process, would it be, in your opinion, say that does education actually provide or prepare you for this entrepreneurial journey, or you think that actually it is something that you passionate about and you just embark on it, and the education doesn't play a part? Perhaps you can enlighten us a bit on that. Maybe each one of you can share your own view. You want to start with?
I would like to ask, which area of education were you trying to infer to?
Okay, of course, all of us in Singapore, at least fortunately, we have gone through the 10 years and the study, and then some of them will may proceed to poly, or even some go higher, like Donovan has finished his degree, for example. So that's kind of the basic education we are talking about. Yeah.
Okay, for me, my most basic education would just fall back after secondary school would be ITE. After ITE would be just national service. So for me, pretty straightforward. Secondary school, all of us know what we went through and stuff like that. Very straightforward, just English, Maths, and Science. Okay, but in IT, in fact, I did not learn anything IT related. Okay, I was actually in college. IT college is doing digital media and video production. It's actually basically what those guys are doing right now behind those cameras. We film short films. We edit short video, soundtracks making, and studio production like this. So yes, coming back, I would then say my educational background has nothing to do with what I am doing right now. So it's more of a part and parcel of, like what Aaron was saying, we have to really make ourselves to lifelong learning to really advance whatever we are interested in, and then go and learn new things, see what is the technology is up and coming, see what are the market are using, see what is the other countries are using as well. So from there, we will have to just grow and expand our own skill set. Yes, because I do believe that our own personal skill set is the most valuable skill set that anyone can have.
Thank you, thank you. In fact, I will also share with you, agree that we have to chart our own career, so to speak, right? In the sense that you know where you are now, the start point, and then what you have already. Assuming even your basic education provide you foundation about reading, writing, the very basic skills. At least you can at least literate in that sense, like, in terms of language, right?
Yes.
And then from there, you can move on to say, where are your interests? And in this particular case, IT is your interest, and henceforth you pursue that journey and then go deeper into deepening your skills.
Yes, that's correct.
Yeah. Aaron, how about you? What do you think is your opinion about education?
I actually went to ACCA, Accounting and Finance. So I would say that ACCA or being an accounting and finance students or graduate, it really helps me a lot in IT. I mean, when we talk about IT industry, a lot of times we thought that it's only for programmers and or software developers. Actually, IT industries need different. I mean, there's a lot of different kind of jobs that's open for us. If you're not a programmer, you're not a developer, it's okay. You still can go to a IT industry. IT industry needs other roles like sales, business development, marketing. Sometimes you also need people in the compliance side. So law people that with law education, that's a good place for them. And don't look at IT as you only have to learn Python, PHP to get in. No, if you're an accounting student, IT actually helps you a lot because especially when we implement IT solution for our company, we have to do what's the benefit and the cost analysis, whether how much, whether it makes sense or business sense for the companies of your customer to adopt the solution, and what's the operating cost. So all this really helps in terms of my business. So even though you do not have an IT background or do not have an IT education, I think that's why we have this Fireside Chat. IT is equal, is a sector with equal opportunity. So for me, if you ask me, having accounting and finance, it really helped me a lot. When I talk to my client, usually my client will talk about numbers. Like why you want? For any businesses, why we want to implement any solutions in the business, because there's numbers behind it. So for me, I do have this education. I know the numbers. I know the P&L and the balance sheet. That's how I can actually help my client even further.
Thank you. I think to summarize, I think more importantly is that from your background as in accountancy, right, that is itself is a start state where you can then leverage on it, your strength, so to speak, right, so that you can then relate that to your business. In any context, I think it's really the knowledge that you have, and how do you apply some of this knowledge in your circle of influence, in this case, your business of IT. Right?
Yes. I think I want to stress on the IT industry. It become a space that, what I realized personally, become a space that is no longer only for the developers or the or the programmers. It's really open for anyone that can contribute to this industry, be it sales or marketing, any other skill set. If you talk about being a chef, you also can be an IT solution, because we have like robotic arm cooking, right? So you could be, having a chef knowledge or experience, it also could help you strive really well in the IT industry. It's just that you have to find a very nice space in IT and craft out for yourself.
Absolutely, I agree with you. In fact, in this era of Industrial Revolution 4.0, and now we're talking about really emerging technology that disrupt businesses, right? So henceforth, it's really in great demand for people who are in the IT or industry or the data scientists and so on. Companies are really looking for people who can help them to interpret data, help them to understand where are the inferences they can draw, and so on and so forth. So in fact, this will be a good time, I think, as far as I'm concerned, as far as in this gig economy. Individual can now acquire skills in this area, and then henceforth be very adaptable and able to be deployed anywhere, as long as the company requires you to share the expertise in the IT, in the various occupational type. Maybe Donovan, would you like to, so from your perspective, in the sense that you have gone through education, even up to postgraduate level, does that make any difference when, in terms of your current education versus your entrepreneurial journey?
I think that the answer is yes and no, right? Most lawyers will tell you it depends.
Okay.
It depends on the content of your education, right? And as as my previous panelist has mentioned, right, that there's an issue around some of the skill sets which you pick up before, right? It may actually be relevant to what you're doing, like accounting, for example, right? And at least in my field, having done law, right, contract drafting is not something which I would shy away from, or even reading opposing counterparties, your people which you contract with, other businesses, right, your customers, right, all these require contracts, and those are useful skills, I would say. But even if you didn't have them, right, I think that, let's say we talk about general education per se, right, I think that the role of education in general is to train you to think a certain way and to give you some kind of rigor, right, and some skills regarding like research and things like that. So even if you talk about you're not very high, all the way up to, let's say, postgraduate, I think that there is some value definitely, right, when it comes to education, even if you're doing areas of study which are not actually like super relevant to doing business, for example, right? Because the point being that school teaches you to approach things from a certain way, to think logically, to be a bit disciplined in your homework and things like that. So everybody, Singapore, we are fortunate because most people would have had education up to at least a certain level, right? And I think that the mere fact that you have gone through that, right, should be a good base for you to do anything. And I think we go back again to you know, what everyone was talking about in terms of the equal opportunity aspect, right? So the thing about IT sector, which I think is really a good thing at this current stage, right, is that there's a demand, there's such demand for it because IT touches such a wide spectrum of life, right? As you mentioned before, it could apply to anything, even chef, cooking hand, right, and things like that. So if that's the case, there's a lot of demand for IT in various roles, right, and also supporting roles, right, as you were mentioning earlier, right, about how accountants and business people, sales and all that. And so to that end, what it really means is that because there's such high demand and there's low supply of skilled labor in some of these things, right, it's equal opportunity because then as long as you have those skills and you can demonstrate that, you know, you have those skills to your employer, to any startup or whatever, right, then they will be willing to, you know, interview you to accept because it's very outcome driven, right? It's not it is a new thing, right? It is not something where it's super established where everybody has that skill. Then now it becomes a issue of whose certificate comes from where, which school better, you know. It's not about that. It's about, can you do the work, right? You can do the work, sure. Can you come in tomorrow? You know, it's that kind of conversations. It's very different. Yeah.
Right. In fact, I think the latest initiative about National Job Council, right, is also about a program that we are trying to help people who say you want to pick up a skill, and then once you show that you are competent, you can then get a job. Right. Thank you. I think the other point I think I would like to stress also about the fact that you know, learning to learn, in the sense that if you have certain foundation, that helps you to also learn to learn effectively, and then therefore pick up whatever reinforcing skills that you need, right? I gather that earlier you were saying that about doing the website yourself with no foundation or background. Maybe you'd like to share a bit on that. So.
Yeah. So as early as when I set up my own cleaning company, right, I had to figure out how to do the website. So you know, you realize that the website is like your one-stop, your first, people see your presence, right? Last time it used to be a shop front, now it's online, right? Everything's online. People search you. The first thing they do is type in your URL and figure out who you are, right? They go to the about page, they go to your products, your services, and things like that. So when I did everything myself, I had to figure out how to do it. Then you realize that, I actually started it late, right? And so that was actually quite lucky because at that point in time, nowadays, there's codeless kind of platforms, right? And so it shouldn't be the fact that, so until today, I'll be upfront, like I can say that I'm still not a coder, right? I'm not a developer, right? I do product development, right? I work with coders, but I don't actually type a line of code, right? And if I had to do things on my own, right? There are solutions out there now because the industry is quite advanced in a sense, right? And you can have codeless website platforms, right? So it comes down to a question of then, well, what's your vision for the website? And that can come from you without any need from you to pick up any programming language. Yeah.
Thank you. Colin, how about you? Does education really make a difference for you in this case? Although we heard a lot about augmented reality and virtual reality, some of us feel that, wow, this is chim. You know, you don't know what is it. How do we? Some of them even worry about how do we develop, you know, learning languages from AR or VR in that matter. Maybe you can help us to understand that a bit further.
Okay, so prior to augmented reality, I graduated in LaSalle and then doing interior design. So there's no program background of mine. So I have a crash course. I majors doing augmented reality and virtual reality. Okay, so same goes to website. You can have a plug and play. augmented reality also can be plug and play. Right? It is so advanced that, oh, okay, so I don't need to use code. I also can plug and play. So that's how advanced nowadays IT has gone far into. It is no longer just programmers. We, as a non-trained programmers, we also can do plug and play already. So this is a way that how it is, society is moving along.
Thank you. Anderson, what do you think will be likely the next interesting question we want to ask the panel?
Yeah, so while they were sharing, I was actually thinking, you know, among all the panelists, right, just now I mentioned about transition, okay? Some of us had better opportunities. Some of us had mentors. Some of us had good background, right? But there are people who are actually late bloomers. That means they wake up later in life, okay? There are people who actually along the way, they lose the opportunities, okay? Like for example, if they get into some trouble, they got caught, you know, and then their life will turn around, okay? And then now they want to make good. There are people who, because of certain circumstances, like we know, the women folks are always a challenge, right? They have to choose between their career or their family, right? And once the children come out only, jialat, okay? So all these circumstances in our life, all right, sometimes make people lose the opportunity, okay? And like the tagline of today, right? IT is an equal opportunity sector, okay? What, in your opinion, right, makes IT an equal opportunity sector? And is it really true? All right? Would somebody who has for example, a criminal record, all right, or a mother who has been out of work, all right, for 10 years, okay, would this sector actually make sense to them? Anyone would like to just chime in?
Perhaps I could speak for those people who had an criminal record. In fact, actually, early last year, prior the first COVID-19 close, we actually hired in an personnel which had a bad criminal record. And after working with him for about 2 to 3 months, we found out that they actually have some sort of characteristics or personality that they have already lost maybe a portion of their life, be it in prison, be in whatever that they went through. Yeah. Then when they have some sort of loss in their life and a portion, when they come out fresh, a lot of companies don't really accept them. Because maybe they scared they steal thing or whatever thing that they come wrong. They will probably be, if let's say the company have a small issue, like maybe something got stolen, then first thing they will look at the guy. Yeah, because after all, I would say all human beings are after all still quite biased in some sense. But then after letting go of all this biasness to those people who have criminal records and stuff like that, I actually find that their characteristics and personalities have a type where I personally like it a lot. Because I'm not sure about you guys, because you guys are probably in the IT hardware, IT software. We do activated. We have to be activated down to the office, down to our client side, to ensure that all our clients, servers and laptops and desktops are all operational prior they open up their office. So what I'm trying to say is those people with, perhaps just from my own experience, people who have criminal records, they have some sort of brotherhood in them. They say, 一起做，一起 work， 一起走。你要帮忙，我帮你。You want what, I help you. Yeah, so I actually really appreciate that kind of characteristics that they have. So yes.
So do you think this kind of character or personality actually opens up doors in the IT sector?
For me, I would say yes. Okay. The reason why is because we are quite a small company, so all of us are quite tight-knit. And when we really need additional help, I would honestly say I have tried to hire people out from corporate world and all that. And when I really need help, right, they are like, boss, why you call me after office hours? And let's say I were to ask him, 9 p.m. Can you, where is this? Tomorrow, then reply. After tomorrow, then reply. Maybe come back to the office, then reply. Weekend, they both up one. Their phone is just left at one corner. They don't see anything on. So they probably, I would say, yes, to some point, maybe work-life balance, Singapore initiative and stuff like that. But in the hardware side, that is where people work. When people stop working, that's where we start our work. So it comes to some form of a balance where I also have to allow them and say, hey, we need some help. Can help me or not? And we need those kind of initiated person that say, hey, okay, I'm willing to help you. Let's do it.
Okay. What do the rest of you think?
Yeah, maybe I can add. My mentor told me before, for opportunity to come, right? There's always, every day there's always opportunity. I mean, it's whether we are at the same frequency. 50% mindset, 50% luck. And the luck strike, you got the opportunity. So I can't speak for all employers or all companies, definitely. We are just a small company. But for us, we really look at mindset and attitude first. Because we are small, we are startup, we need someone that is flexible, adaptive, able to adapt and learn fast. Second is skills. So usually we don't even look at the qualification. I mean, I would say everybody have their point of view, but don't let the negative one that affect you. So I mean, in today's market with internet, with Facebook, with social media, opportunity is really everywhere. I mean, look at Wan Lei. He's I think 50 plus. He's like a hot star in Singapore with more than like 10,000, 20,000 viewership, and per day sales I heard is around 10K or 20K. I mean, he's doing so much better than some supermarket during the COVID. Yeah, so late bloomers and when people look at you as social media or look at your business, they don't really ask you about what's your past. Yeah, so for me, in my eyes, I don't think that we are in that society that really last time that they will really dig out your past and your records. Yeah, I think we are in a society that we, like what you have mentioned, we look at work done, look at attitude, we look at mindset, and if you are looking at for employment, I mean, if you are looking at for opportunity to be an entrepreneur, right? I mean, the opportunity is everywhere. We have a lot of good examples. We got Wan Lei, and if you cannot find opportunity in Singapore, you got places like Fiverr, Upwork, can offer services like overseas, outside of Singapore. It's just a matter of what skill set you would like to, or what service you would like to contribute to this community, creating value for other people. I think that's how we should look at it.
Okay, thanks, Aaron. Okay, before we continue with the other two panelists, I would like all the viewers, all right, to start thinking what questions you would like to ask the panelists. All right, they have been speaking for the past close to 1.5 hours, sharing their life. I think it is important now for you also to express your opinions. If you have questions to ask about the IT sector, if you have questions to ask about the things that they have shared, it's on the screen. Scan the QR code, or I think there's also a link there. Okay, bit.ly/SFM 2021 questions with capital Q. All right, so get your questions coming in. We are on our phone, we are on our tablet. We will read your questions and we'll grill the panelists further. Okay, if you think that they have scripted their answers, then you check them out. All right, with your questions. Okay, now back. I would like to now go to Donovan. What do you think? You know. Let's say, for example, the late bloomers or women folks, okay, who have lost a period of the time because they have to take care of the children, okay, And people always say that the IT sector is a man's world. All right. In fact, just now, the MC was also saying, you know, the whole panelists, the moderators, we are all men. Okay, so listen to what they have to say about, you know, this sector for women. So Donovan, yeah, I'm going to give you this tough question, right?
Okay. So, I mean, to me, I would echo what Aaron was talking about, right? So he was saying earlier about attitude and skills. And I think that whether you are, you know, somebody with a bit of a record, right, or having spent some time in detention centers, or whether you are, like you said, in a noble case of women staying back to, you know, be a housewife or to sacrifice a portion of their time, of their life, right, to raise kids, right? I think that the good thing about IT is that it democratizes, you know, it levels the playing field, right? There's no advantage, I would say, given in particular to, you know, men versus women, etc. If I can tell you, I know off the top of my head, right, there are a few female entrepreneurs, bosses, women bosses, right, who came up with good ideas around, let's say, you know, eco-friendly food, right, edible spoons, for example, right, or even you know, snack boxes for people who are working from home, right. All these are female entrepreneurs, and if you talk about issues where, let's say, women want to become developers or coders, right? At the end of the day, as Aaron was talking about, it's a question of skills and attitude. And I think that for us as an employer, and I have done interviews for people before, right? I've looked at candidates. The first thing which I look at, right, is I try to suss out your attitude, right? And so for me, a good indicator of that attitude, right, would be like if people had their own pet projects, or if people had their own undertook an extensive list of self-study, right? And the good thing about IT and courses in general nowadays is that you know, you could go to WSQ courses, you could go to Skills Future, right? Or even if you didn't want to do that, right, because, you know, if you have financial constraints, right, there are tons of good MOOCs out there, right? Massive online learning courses, right, out there, which are free. Right? You don't have to pay for some of them. And I think it was edX, it was EDX, right? edX, right? If you Google that, that has a repository of courses from Ivy League schools, right, in US. So if you want to learn about programming, you want to learn about any topic, in fact, even Excel, right? You could do that, right? And it's free. You don't even need to get a certificate. You only pay if you want a certificate, right? And so if you talk about knowledge, right? Like, knowledge nowadays, in this day and age, is free, right? The question isn't about knowledge. The question is about, can you apply it? And if you can show that you have a good attitude, that you are knowledgeable, and that you know, you have tried your hand at doing things, I think that because of the labor shortage in some of these key roles, right, it is really a question of can you demonstrate those two things, right? Skills and attitude. And if you can, then I don't see why anybody, whether you are a woman having spent some time, right, looking after kids, or whether you are coming out from a detention center for a while, after a while, right, if you brushed up your own skills, you went to a computer, you went online, right, you search some of these things which interest you, right, and then you practice and you hone your craft, right, and then you go to somebody and say, hey, I have this skill in Python, I can code some of these things, this is a small app I did to make my life easier. And then the employer, wow, that's impressive, right? You clearly can do projects, right? And you're driven. You clearly have a good attitude, right? And you have the skills to back it up. Then I really don't think that the labor market in this field, right, is going to discriminate against you.
Okay, thanks, Donovan. Okay, so Colin, what do you think? You know, now that you know, IT, just now Donovan mentioned about this term called IT democratizes, okay, the workspace. In your area of work, do you think some of these people with a certain disadvantaged background, right, could actually access opportunities globally?
Actually, they can, you see, be it whether they are offenders or whether they are moms at home. Hey, you can actually work from home, okay, and go online. Google is a very big thing, right? You can just search online courses everywhere, anywhere. So, for which that they are actually to acquire new set skills, okay? they're able to go online. Government is actually having a lot of programs for them. Okay? They can actually work from home. So be it whether you are a programmer, you want to do like specific roles such as marketing, branding, everything work from home. So it is not outcasting them, but they can actually multitask at home. Okay? The second thing is that if let's say for which that they has honing skills at home, okay, they can take up the role for UI UX, they can take up the role as marketing, branding expertise. Okay? They might not be having those set skills, but they actually have an eye. Okay? For example, you go to Pinterest, Instagram, hey, this is good, this is nice. So actually, they actually have that set skills. Just how they're going to brush it up. Right? So for those, if let's say they're going to skill up and all that, they can actually go to view in Facebook or be it other like LinkedIn. They can actually search more jobs up there.
Right. Okay. Thanks, Colin. Okay. I'm looking at the Padlet. I see a comment coming in. Somebody commented that they feel very bored because all the speakers are men. So I have no choice, but I think I have to call our only women. All right. Angela, you better come forward, right? Because there's this comment that says they're bored hearing from men. Okay, so would you like to share, some of your experiences? Okay, you being a mom, you have career transition, maybe unfortunate life. I'm not sure. All right. So add all these things. Do you see opportunities in the IT sector, for people in this kind of challenged circumstances?
Wow, okay. I do see, yes, I'm an accountant by profession. So what I see it as women definitely have an equal opportunity in the IT. I don't, okay, there's once when I was accountant in a company, so I do not learn about all the IT related. So what happened is anything I go to the IT department, then they have a code that I was always remember now. Oh, it's ID 10T error. Then I say, what's that error, huh? Can you tell me more? What's that error? I also want to know, Then nobody actually had tell me what is that error mean. Then after that, someone tell me, okay, my boss tell me, I tell you why. What is that ID 10T error mean? I said, oh, scolding me like an idiot. So it means it's user error. So it meaning if user doesn't know anything about IT, so it's like scolding an accountant, you idiot lah. So simple thing you also don't know how to do. So what happened? I go to the route of actually pick up skills in IT as well. So I do programming. Yes, I do programming 10, or I would say it's 20 years ago, whereby some mentor had told me that, Angela, maybe once you have picked up the skill of accounting, it is good to also pick up skills in the IT as well. So I do coding using D-Base at that time to create a programs for property company I think to create a database to keep track all their clients. Yeah. So I would say that yes, I love IT very much because it's a thing whereby it's ongoing and you could actually see many things, and it's not like accounting and it's boring in accounting, I would say, but IT is really very fun because it evolves and it actually have moved very fast due to this pandemic as well, even more. And I work in IT sector as well. I have been working in Microsoft, Nokia, and even in Cisco system. And that is where actually I pick up a lot of IT related stuff. But do you need to learn all the technical? No need, you can be the support staff. So I think women can be the support staff in the IT sector as well. There are many times, and actually I love very much. Back to you, moderator. Thank you for giving me this airtime.
Okay, no, don't run away, all right? Okay, all right, I'm not done with you yet. Okay, the men have spoken. You see, when the women speak, they speak differently, right? Okay, now, Angela, I would like to give my moderator role to you, all right? For you to ask the panelists questions in your perspective as a woman, for example.
Oh, panelists as a women. Yeah, okay. Yes.
Ask them a question, a difficult one.
One question, each of them.
One and whichever, it could be one for one or one for many, it's up to you.
Okay,
You are the
one for
moderator
many.
now.
All right, man. This is my chance to ask the moderator a question.
Okay.
Yeah, he asked me to answer. So I know Anderson has actually started out a lot of companies as well and invest in a lot of startup as well. So maybe you could tell us one of the company that you love very much in the IT sector that you see that it has transformed or make it easy for people or maybe it ease the pain of a user using the IT.
Right. Okay. I think IT. Yes, indeed. I've started different companies, failed in many, still failing. Okay, but that's what entrepreneurs are, right? They never run away from pain, never run away from failures. Right? Every failure is an opportunity to learn. I find the IT space particularly intriguing. Okay. Similarly, I'm not IT trained. All right. In fact, I received my first formal coding, right, or programming lesson only the beginning of this year, right, when my own training company decides to offer IT program, right, software development program. Then I said I must be the first student, okay, and I thoroughly enjoyed it, okay. Now, for Angela's question of an IT company, right, personally, I feel that messaging applications have really transformed the way we live our lives. Okay? And I am very thankful that there are crazy people out there, okay, who invest so much of their time, resources to develop applications that we can use for free. All right? People complain, you know, that some of these messaging applications are collecting data, all right? And when they introduce certain features and we make a lot of noise. But why is it that we never ask, you know, why are we able to use all these IT systems for free, okay? This software is for free. So I think entrepreneurs who make softwares and let users use for free, in my opinion, they are fantastic, okay? Because they are taking a risk that is so big, because there is absolutely no guarantee of returns, all right? Because when you decide to charge, for example, okay, all your users may run away, all right? So I think these people are actually doing society a great good, okay? And that is another beauty about IT, right? They can actually transform society, transform our lifestyle, transform the way we work, okay? Even without asking us to pay, all right? But they can transform it quietly, okay? Take for example, okay, Telegram, in my opinion, is a fantastic software, and it has been free. It is still free. There is still no advertisement, okay? And they are always introducing new features. I always wonder how they make money, right? Okay, how they survive, okay? So if you ask me what is that one software, yes, I'll say Telegram. Yeah. If you ask me whether I've invested in IT companies, yes, I have. In fact, just last year, this year, I've been serving as mentor, okay, to startups under the accelerator under NTU, right? It's known as Intuitive, okay, and I see a lot of startup companies. Yeah, I must say that not all businesses need to be IT, okay, but all businesses need to think how to use IT, okay? And some of these businesses that I invest in are actually not IT companies. Some of the businesses that I invest in are actually IT companies, okay? And it is not about the business idea, because business idea will come, business idea will go. It is about the people, all right? Like what I think Aaron and Donovan also mentioned, okay, and of course Joel also emphasized it. It is not what kind of certificates you have. It is not what kind of background you come from, okay? I think in the IT space, it is whether you can do the job or not, whether you can deliver, all right? And of course, now as we move beyond just qualifications and certifications, all right? While education does provide you good grounding, certifications help you to open up doors and have the perhaps certain requirements, okay, requisites. But I think ultimately it's still the individual, right? Your mindset drives your skill set, okay? The kind of dreams and hopes and the courage that you have to do something different, okay? So I look for all these things in the entrepreneurs whom I want to invest in, okay? So yeah, Angela, I hope that helps to answer a part of a question.
Yes, thank you very much. Indeed, IT is an opportunity for everyone, and maybe let's look at in IT the learning is also improved. If you are using IT to learn, can it be interesting? Not like just classroom and just the trainer just facilitate. Do you think IT? Maybe I should ask the panelists over here. Can you use IT as a form to make the learning engaging and interesting? We just start with Colin doing AR, VR. I think AR, VR can make the learning more interesting, right? Then after that, after you, maybe TechZoo doing some, can share as well. Then after that, the hardware part, what does the hardware got to do with the learning part as well? And then maybe Donovan in the space of HR, IT related. And then maybe Takswan, another moderator, can wrap up all the 4 panelists summary.
Thank you, Angela, for that advice. In view of time, I think we will start some of the questions that the audience had put up, right, in relation to some of those that you shared. Very quickly, I think there was a question to TechZoo. If I may just read it out. Okay, what will be a use case that you have helped a business through digital transformation? And how do I learn the skills needed to work in an IT company like yours?
Yeah, we are hiring. So you can go to our website, TechZoo, techzu.co/career. We are hiring. So what's the use case? So, I mean, very fortunately, the government is also having a lot of subsidies for especially for SMEs, the local SMEs, to adopt IT solution range from CRM all the way to ERP, or just want to automate certain operation process, and also look at how you can gather data points to actually analyze to have a live dashboard of your businesses. So, a lot of use case, we have automate like sales process, because gone the days that salesperson have to go out of the office to meet the clients to clinch the deal. Pretty much we are looking at digital sales. So that definitely when it comes to sales CRM, there's different measurements, different data that we have to capture on the salesperson and the sales team to enhance the sales team performance. And of course we have this customized ERP, whereby every company even though they are in the same industry, but they do have their own processes. So we do customize ERP to actually tailor to their current process. So in terms of the change management of for the workforce and for the management, it will not be too great for adopting the IT solution. So what do I need to learn to join?
That's right. What do I need to learn, the skills needed to work with an IT company like yours?
I think for us, how we build our team is locally. Locally, we actually hire mainly the business people and the designers. Right. So then for the back end development and the front end development, we usually have an offshore team that's working for us. So what kind of skill set? I would say all kinds of skill set. We need marketing. We need people that know about digital marketing. We need to get prospect for us, to get leads for us. We need people that in sales. We need people in digital. In design. A lot of different skills. But I would say the main thing, like I'm going to sing the same song. Looking at really mindset and attitude.
Okay, so That's why if I can share this question, I find it quite interesting, right? This question comes in from David, all right? So David mentioned about, is the IT sector still an equal opportunity when it comes to seniors, all right? People who are above 50. What advice do you have for seniors wanting to enter this sector? How and where can they start, all right? And this follows from another question from Jocelyn, which asks, what do you think is one fundamental skill that someone should pick up in order to ease into a career in this sector? So anyone would like to share? Because now, when we talk about IT sector, broadly there are two spaces, right? You have the software and you have the hardware, and you have the nowhere, right? Okay, the nowhere would be things that you don't really need, the technical knowledge. Okay, like what Aaron mentioned about sales, marketing. To me, that's the nowhere one. You don't need the IT. But what is that few fundamental skills, that somebody say, I'm coming to my 50 also, so I'm in that category. Okay, if I want to enter the sector, what is that one skill perhaps that I need? Because we talk about so many skills, what is that one skill? Maybe we start with hardware first. Hardware.
Sure.
Because Aaron one is nowhere, okay? So hardware. What is that one skill? For somebody who is above 50, for example, okay?
No worries. I have actually even tried to hire someone of such an age. He was 56. I would say the most basic skill set I would look for, be it whether you have no skill or nowhere, okay, I would probably think if you are someone accepting of such technological advancement, especially if, let's say, I do know some older generation person, they don't even use smartphone. They don't even know how to operate a laptop or a desktop. So those are quite difficult for us to even train them internally, or even to ask them what can they do to actually even help me, or maybe even help our clients. So I would say the most basic fundamental portion for the hardware area would still be, are you using a smartphone? Are you using your own laptop? Do you know how to operate the system? Do you know how to open Microsoft Word, Excel, Outlook, stuff like that? So those are just basic fundamentals where at least you know what is a mouse. At least you know what is a keyboard, what is a monitor. From there, we will then internally train you, if required, to actually push out your own personal skill set to actually help in some way or another, help our clients or help our projects. Correct.
Okay, so this is the hardware side. How about the software side? Take, for example, Colin. If somebody who is a senior above 50, I don't know why people say above 50 is senior. All right. Okay. And so, wanting to enter this sector, what is that one skill that he needs? Software. Okay,
for software-wise, the first thing that he needs to know, right, is to able to use mobile phones, or probably an iPad per se. Okay, because some of the AR is actually going on inside a mobile phone or an iPad. As long as you can hone those skills and you have come in contact with maybe the iPad, tablets, you can actually do some AR inside, right? Even if, let's say, your IG, Instagram, Facebook, right, all those filters, it's actually AR. So as long as they have this fundamental of how to operate, it's totally fine.
Okay. Donovan? You are gearing to share something.
Yeah. So I will be a bit more specific, right? I think in general, aptitude to use certain hardware, computer systems, and technologies like iPads are definitely, I think, their hygiene, their baseline, right? You definitely need them. But as far as software is concerned, right, I think that one which drives across all areas, right, would be if you wanted to pick up something, it would be UI UX, right? And the reason what UI UX is user interface and user experience, right? The reason why I say that is because you can have a very complicated back end with the code, right? With the program, developers can be, and those are really difficult. Some of the complicated ones can be very difficult to code out, right? And you may not, it may be really throwing you in the deep end if you ask you to do that, right? Unless you have that passion and the skill and you want to learn about coding, which by all means, if you do, go right ahead. But if you want to find something which is a little more generic and applies across board and is easier to pick up, I would say UI UX, because UI UX touches everything. All apps require an understanding of a good UI UX, right? And if you see, in your day-to-day things, right? If you open up your Facebook, for example, in mobile, if you open up your Instagram, right? And if you open up LinkedIn even, right? The old LinkedIn, before they recently did a revamp a few months ago, was, if I may say, absolutely terrible, right? You couldn't see, you didn't know where to click and all that, and it became a lot more cleaner after they did a UI UX revamp. And that shows the importance of user experience, because if, at the end of the day, any software company that wants users to adopt its solution, right, to use the solution well, will have to have a good understanding of what UI UX is and do it well. Otherwise, people will not want to do that. And from UI UX, there are, to do UI UX well, you need to have an aesthetic feel to that. So it's still not so much deep into coding and into the front line, right? You can still learn a little bit of that online, right? What's good UI UX, and understand how people's eye moves when they look at certain things and things like that. And from UI UX, you can transition into front end development if you really wanted to get a bit deeper into the coding, right? Because front end development is coding which codes what people see on the screen, right? Not necessarily the back end of the database. And then if you still wanted to go deeper and say, okay, you know what, I'm pretty good at front-end coding, maybe I do back-end. And if I can do back-end and front-end, then I become full stack. So if I'm full stack developer, suddenly I'm in huge demand, because now I know how to do the back, which is the back part of the shop. I know how to do the front which faces the customer, right? And I know how to make them talk to each other. Then you're really in demand. Yeah.
I would like to add on for this. For 50 plus, in my own point of view, for 50 plus a person, right? I think we could really look at your experience. Nowadays we talk about IT or technology. It's not really about coding. Really look at application. There's a difference between a young person and an experienced person. It's the experience that you have clocked in terms of how's the logic flow, especially for business operation or business strategy. And a lot of application you actually can look at to actually blend with your existing skill set and experience that you have. Let's say, for example, you used to be an operation manager. You can really be a very good solution architect for a warehouse management system. That's an application. You don't have to be the one that coded it, but you could be the person that advises how a warehouse should be managed. So I think that will be a lot of value added. Let the young one, let us do the coding and all, do the setup, but you feed us and you tell us, share with us how we should be running the logic part, the process. Because technology is still a tool, but we still need the experience and the knowledge to know how to properly implement the tools or the application for a certain business process or department.
Okay, Aaron, since you're on this topic, very quickly, I want just to continue with another question that came in. All right, as a marketer, right, if you want to join, do you think one should also be well versed in hack terminologies? All right, okay, using the right terminologies.
I think for marketing person, terminology shouldn't be a problem for us as a marketing person. I do have certain experience in digital marketing, so for marketing wise, this is my personal belief. It's always best to hire a person that's outside the industry as a marketing person, because when this marketing person is inside the industry, they are talking about too much about what they know, and when it comes to marketing, we are trying to create an awareness that people don't know about us. So I think that point, he or she don't have to be worried. It's more on whether he's able to, or she is able to convey a certain message to a person that don't know technology. Yeah.
Okay, I think that's very interesting as well. And then since the whole morning we've been talking about, what kind of skills needed. In fact, from the series of questions, also kind of anxiously find out what single skills, they should get in order to get into at least a first step into this industry. There's one particular question which I thought I want to raise very interestingly. This person, anonymous, but though, he said, I come from a hospitality background, as well as just like Colin. So I have tried to apply for multiple jobs and internships relating to IT, such as data analytics, etc. But I am always rejected due to my lack of knowledge in IT. I did study online, as what you guys are telling me, and I also take online courses to learn. But I'm still not accepted in the industry without experience. Now, so the issue is that how do I gain experience when no companies will accept me? Maybe you all can enlighten this particular.
Okay, maybe I take a first stab at it, right? I also think it depends on what kind of companies you're applying to, because if they are medium-sized or larger companies, right, then for sure they will have a larger selection ratio in the sense of a lot more people will want to join them, right? So for example, if you're trying to make a transition and you're trying to go into a big IT consulting company, that might be a bit difficult, not gonna lie, right? That's the reality of the situation. But if, let's say, you are looking for a place to hone your skills, right? There are tons and tons of like SMEs and startups, right? I think we are just we're not even the representation of the entire industry, right, in Singapore. And I feel that some of the smaller companies, there's a bit of trade-off, right? You don't get a big name, right? But you get a lot of hands-on experience. And likely because they are small, right? I know that at least firms usually at our size, right, always looking for people and hungry for help, right? And so the question here is, I think the courses are a good start, right? I think that it's a good thing to definitely get the base knowledge. Now it's a question of finding an opportunity to apply that. And if you're finding absolute difficulty, even for small startups, right, to hire you as a full-time person because maybe everybody's super picky, then it's a question of how desperate are you to get the experience. So maybe it's an issue of coming on board as an entry level or even an intern, right, and then telling your boss, hey boss, I can do these things, right? And then once you show that you have done the project, right, and then you can show experientially you have done all these things on your resume, you can easily climb. Because when you deliver value to the SMEs and to the company, right, they will definitely say, oh wow, I didn't know you could do all that. Right? I'm sure you guys have met like employees who say, don't worry, I can do all this extra stuff. And you'll be like, wow, I didn't know. So then I give you more responsibility. Then maybe I promote you. So the point is having to start somewhere, I think.
Thank you. Yep. How about other panelists? Any other differing view, experience?
In terms of experience-wise, since it's similar to what I am, okay, so joining the MNCs or maybe the bigger companies might be rather hard. Okay, but joining as a small companies or SMEs, small entrepreneurs, will definitely be better because it's a place where you can hone your skill, as well as you must be it's actually in terms of character and personality, like you need to take on the initiative. Right, hey boss, I can do this. Hey boss, I would like to try this. Right, if let's say we do this, do that. Right, you can hone all the set skills that you previously do not have. So we will be able to gauge. Okay, so you actually can do better, more, and more, and then as a result, you can actually penetrate into the IT sector. Thanks,
Colin. How about Joel? Arun, anything to add?
Yeah, I think I agree that. Looking for a job is not easy. So if he's looking for intern, I really believe that like SME and startups, we are definitely looking for talents. And if he's looking at a middle-sized or large enterprise, I'm afraid that's a reality. It's going to be difficult without proper training or experience.
All right, thanks.
Okay, there's one question which I think is also very interesting. Okay, it came from an anonymous person, but they're already anonymous replies. All right. What kind of IT industries are future-proof? Okay, because we know IT, keep changing and all that, right? Future-proof.
Wow,
now all the panelists, wow, headache. Okay, or an industry you find or feel will be up and coming. Okay, an industry that will survive the economy in the next 20 to 30 years. What do y'all think?
Let me perhaps kick this off.
Good. Thank you.
Kick it off. Kick off. You want to answer, is it?
Because on the hardware side, it's at the end of the day, I would say all IT still will come back to hardware, be it what kind of hardware. As long as you have a generic skill set, the know-how, at the end, the UI just changes a little bit, the interface changes a little bit, probably an enhancement of the feature will be added in. So it's just as long as you have a fundamental skill set, the hardware just changes, either smaller, lighter, transparent, or whatever that it is. All will come back to the hardware portion. And if I were to say even not so recent, they consumeralize the word called cloud. Okay, if cloud at the end of the day, it still falls back on hardware, on physical servers. It's just that they are just servers around the world, and then they are just being pushed out bit by bit to whoever who wants to use it. Correct. So I would say hardware, the changes will not be like rocket science. Right? The changes will not be that fast, okay, as compared to perhaps software area. But then it's just that as you just have to keep up with the pace. Whenever a new hardware comes out, what is it like? How is it doing? What are the extended features and stuff like that? Correct. So that's for the hardware side. So the hardware side, I would say, 5 to 10 years should not be an issue.
Okay, before we continue with more answers, okay, you only have the last 15 minutes to ask questions. So can we flash the QR code? All right, the QR code, okay, for them to ask questions if they want to. Final few questions from you. You see on your screen the QR code for the questions. All right, okay, just keep the QR code there for a while, another 5 minutes, another 2 minutes. But I'd like you all to continue, which sector, or is there a way to future-proof this IT sector?
So for me, I don't think of future-proof any sector or industry. I mean, this pandemic have teach us a very, very good lesson, expect for the unexpected. IT industry, whether it change, whether it will grow long, or we really don't know. We really don't know. We could have another new industry in 5 years or 10 years called crypto industry. I also don't know. So that's why we have to remain open-minded. I mean, we do have our end goal. The end goal could be the same, but the path to the end goal must remain adaptable based on the environment or the situation that we are in. So I would not say there's any any sector or any part of IT will be future-proof. I say we will always be on our toes to change according to the market.
I actually thought that would be quite a controversial position to take, but I actually agree. I wanted to say that as well. I think that at least insofar as software is concerned, right? Technology is always moving forward, right? And that is why there's a technology cycle of early technology comes in, and then there's early adopters. Very few people, maybe some people are resisting it, right? And then it picks up traction, right? It goes up, becomes proliferated, and then after that it's just incremental, slow, small improvements to that, and then it gets overtaken by a new disruption, right? And so if there's this endless cycle, right? Trying to say that I would like to future-proof IT, right? Is quite impossible, right?
You have to keep up with the trend as well.
Precisely.
Yeah. If not, you will just be left behind, and then it will be too far a gap to go over.
Exactly, yeah. So if you're looking for a particular industry or technology, right, to future-proof, I don't think that is you're going to have much success in that area, But if you're looking for jobs, like for a practical concern, right, then I look at it as a good analogy would be like, do you buy the latest computer with the best specifications, and how long can it last you? Right? I mean, talk about hardware, right? So everybody here, like, you may buy a gaming laptop, or whatever, is like, wow, super souped up, right? And then the good thing then is that maybe that will last you 5 years, 4 years, right? Before you have to change. But if you pick up something which is maybe, the technology is a bit old, right? Maybe it lasts you 2 years. And then after that, it starts to, break down. It starts to be slower. Applications come out which require better hardware, right? So what I'm talking about here when you apply that to the context of the job, right, is that basically if you find yourself worrying about longevity of the industry, then pick a particular technology IT sector which is new, which is cutting edge, because it is in the earliest part of the cycle. So, you have, maybe like you mentioned crypto is quite interesting, right? Maybe like blockchain or whatever, right, is so interesting right now. Nobody knows. It's a really new frontier, right? And you still need developers, and you still need a whole bunch of people to work in the industry, right? And if it's at the very beginning, then you have a lot of runway before it becomes obsolete.
Okay, Colin, anything to chime in?
Okay, continue from the crypto, right? For example, crypto.com, or whether you are in Aspire, okay, all these platform is actually a new front. Okay, whether you are in Earth 2 or whether you are in other categories of gaming, okay, those are uncharted areas. So talking about future-proof is a bit impossible because it is endless continuations, right? It is modernizing. For example, QR. Which country is the first country that causes QR? Okay, Japan. Okay, how they Japan to China has been cashless payment since then, right? Singapore is starting to pick up. So these are the advancements of how people are doing. So when is the last time that you actually draw money? Actually, I haven't been drawing money for quite some time. This is the advanced technology that you are going into. It's due to the norm that we are currently in, actually.
Okay, so Taswan, would you like to ask the panelists one last question from the audience?
Yeah, of course. I think, thank you, panelists, for such engaging and interesting sharing. I have one question for you. Now, we have talked a lot this morning about, how individuals can find jobs, in the IT industry, and we also shared a fair bit about what kind of skills likely, whether it's software, hardware, and likewise, experience-wise, how the individual can acquire some of this experience, which they can actually go into a salaried job, so to speak, right? But in the context of also entrepreneurship, I just wonder you have any advice, like if someone wants to do that, like self-start something in the IT industry as an entrepreneur, what would the advice be like from you? Yeah, anyone to start?
Okay, maybe I'll take a first cut at that. I think that if you are going to start something in the IT sector, right, as a startup, as an entrepreneur, right, always do your market research first, right? Always. I can't stress this enough because and what I mean by market research, right? Before you even go out and spend a single dime, right, on a website, on prototyping and on development, right? You always have to do your research by interviewing your potential customers, or who you think are your potential customers. Because many times, right, everybody thinks that they have like the best idea, this best app. Sure, people will buy one, no problem, right? I'll definitely have a customer base. This is a huge problem. But a lot of times, yes, maybe sometimes that's correct, but it doesn't hurt to validate, and a lot of times it's actually wrong. And when you go out and talk to people, they may tell you it's not such a big deal, right? Yeah, it's a pain, but it's not such a huge pain. And if you do all this and you do a proper research beforehand, and you make sure that you have identified the part of the market which would be willing to pay, because the market is huge, right? You have large companies, you have middle-sized companies, you have small companies, you also have consumers. Consumers themselves are segmented, right? So who is the target market, right? And if you interview them, just because you get interviews from people who say no to you doesn't necessarily mean that there isn't a market elsewhere as well, right? So the whole phase of market research is so important, right? It will save you endless amounts of grief and pain later in terms of cost and time, right? By making sure that before you even start, right, that there is a market for you, and this is the pain which they're facing. Because later on, when you develop something, right, you're going to have to find investment because usually development costs up front is very expensive. So you may have to give away parts of your shareholding, right, to people who are venture capitalists, to people who are angel investors, right, who have the money and believe in your idea, believe in you, right, and say, okay, that's something which I will fund and help, right? Then they'll ask you, where is the market? How can you be sure this is the market? And if you've done your market research, you'll be easy. No worry, I already did my 50 interviews, right? And everybody here told me this is a huge problem. And I asked them whether they're willing to pay, and they say, yeah, sure, I will pay. And this is how much they're willing to pay. Done deal, right? So it's a lot easier if you're an entrepreneur.
Thanks, Aaron. Anybody? Aaron?
So I really agree on the market research. I mean, that killed my first startup without doing any market research. So, yeah, but I think besides market research, I think you really have to ask yourself like whether what you want to achieve out of this. And there's a very big price to pay, I would say, to be an entrepreneur. A very, very big price to pay. It's not about champagnes and IPO or Series A, Series B. It's not fun at all. You are not going to do things that you like. You have to work as longer than employees or longer than anyone that working in the office, more than 10 hours a day, more than 60 hours a week. So just want to give you a very real scenario of being an entrepreneur, and that is the price to pay. And if you have a very strong drive and strong reason, go through this price, and then your answer is yes, no matter what happens, I think you are ready.
Thanks, Aaron.
I would like to add on this portion.
Sure.
I've seen many entrepreneurs at the later part of their life, they want to start a business. But then I also have seen many fail. Okay, be it what business, be it apart from the IT service line or not. At the end of the day, it all boils down to, if let's say you want to start your business later on, later part of your life, then there will always be an issue between bread and butter versus what is your aspiration to do your business. And I have also seen due to their bread and butter, they have a family, they have their kids to take care of and stuff like that. They also all guys probably want to say, hey, I want to build a legacy. I want to, before I go to my deathbed, I want to build something. I want to do something with whatever experience and knowledge that I have and stuff like that. Then they want to start a business at a later part of their life. But then after that, they are being tied down because they have kids. They still need to feed the family and stuff like that. So if you really have done what they were saying, your market research, going through how many hours you need to double, triple your working hours than your employees. If those are something that you are more than capable to do so, then please go ahead. My only thing that I can then advise you is, I'll use an informal quote if you guys are okay with it. My informal quote is, keep sucking, as long, at least you are sucking forward. Yeah. Yeah, so yes.
Okay, Colin, yeah.
Okay, if you want to become an entrepreneur, right, I think you need to forgo the term work-life balance.
Yes.
You will never be balanced. Right? You have to work from morning before the sunrise, or you will not see the sunset and you come out with nighttime. So that's the whole idea about entrepreneur. There's no work-life balance. You will spend the minimum time with families, and you have to dig inside, not say into the grave, but into the table of where you are working at. And then you might be running all around Singapore and then doing all sort of nonsense. So from front to back to be it business development or be it doing all sort of nonsense, you are doing OMO, one-man operation system. Okay, then after which you are able to move on and then start to create teams and form up everything. So all this time, please note, you are not alone. You have friends around. They will support you if you want to become an entrepreneur. So as well as the market research part, okay, make sure that you are honed down and then know what you are doing and then push forward.
Thank you. So it sounds a bit scary, but just to wrap up the conversation, maybe each panelist can just give one word to indicate, should you as an entrepreneur go forward or not? Despite these efforts that you need to put in place, your advice is that yes, it's worth it or not, in your own context.
I would say the satisfactory of what do you do gives me more. I have always think back about those people in the corporate life. Wow, hey, I do roughly the same thing as you. How come you earning about maybe 2 times better than me? So all this always contradicts back in my mind. But after that, after a few burnouts, after a few holidays, after talking to my friends and family, which, yes, there are so many people who do business together. They all went through the similar pain as you. And at the end, I just found out that, hey, I actually, whenever I do projects, whenever I help my clients, I find satisfactory in terms of doing what I do. Correct.
Thank you.
I think there's no the right answer. I think it's really about self-awareness. What do you really want in life, or what do you really want to see yourself achieve? There's no wrong to be an entrepreneur. There's no wrong to be self-employed a person or even a salary person. I think at the end of the day, everyone has a way of life, and yeah, I think self-awareness is very important, and it's really spending time for yourself and to know what you really want, and then go for it.
Thank you, Aaron. Yeah, Donovan, what is your view?
Well, I think that the biggest draw of entrepreneurship is autonomy, right? And if you, because you are answerable to nobody except yourself in terms of your own goals, right? Your success, your failures, and things like that. And if not having to answer to a boss because you are the boss, right, is something which appeals to you, then I think that's probably a good draw for you, lah. But of course, notwithstanding, the benefits of that, it comes with the challenges which my fellow panelists have elaborated upon. It's 100% true, right? But I think that at the end of the day, because at least I personally am the sort of person who would like that kind of autonomy, right? And to be able to have a say in what is built and how we go forward, right? I think that since I value that a lot, then I think that entrepreneurship is something which at least works for me, lah.
Thank you. Okay, so Colin, you're the last.
Well, okay, for entrepreneurship wise, I think we should push forward because it's the satisfactory things that you can garnish when you create something out of nothing. Okay, I think I should use one of my friend tag word. Okay? You imagine, we can build. Once you build, it will be awesome. That's the good feel about it.
Okay, thank you very much, panelists. I think we had a really lively and enjoyable discussion. Now I will pass the time back to Angela.
Okay, before Angela come on board, I also want to answer this one last question. Okay, it says here, we see electric vehicles now. We see people going to space. What do we think will be the next big thing? Okay, I want to answer this question with a question. It is not what do we think. What do you think is going to be the next big thing? Okay, because it is do it to change your life. It will change your life. Okay, so it is not what we think. It is what you think. Angela?
Thank you, fellow panelists, and also our two interesting moderators that make this an engaging and interesting, inspiring session for us. Indeed, do it to change your future, and I actually had do it to change my future. I actually moved out from a corporate and to be an entrepreneur. Yes, to be an entrepreneur is always very satisfactory and satisfaction as well. It is a thing that what can I bring or solve the problems or solution to my customer. So they are my clients, the SME. So from a corporate working with the US MNC, I see and many of those in the SME always reach out to me. Angela, can you give us idea that you have? How do I solve this problem? How do I digitalize? How do I automate these things? I always give them idea, then they will feedback to whatever vendor that they engage in. Yeah, this is very interesting. So I would like to invite our Honorary Principal, Mr. Calvin Chan, to do the closing address. Come, Calvin.
Thank you, Angela. Okay, thank you for the very interesting discussion, right? So we have touched on a lot of things. We have covered entrepreneurship, right? We have covered motivation, right, to be an entrepreneur. And also we have done a lot of coverage on digitalization and IT. So the IT is identified as one of the core skills for future jobs, right? So it is very important, right? I hope that after this event, you will start to embrace IT. You have not done so, right? You can be a native, a digital native. That means you specialize in IT and provide coding services, right? Right in your work, right? And also you can be a non-native, right? Which you apply IT in your work itself, right? I think the speakers have mentioned about you can, even as a chef or as an engineer or a doctor, right? You can actually embrace IT, right? To enhance your services to your customers. So I would strongly encourage you to embrace IT, right? And moving forward, right? To cater for the future needs of your job. And right before, and also there is a lot of opportunities provided by the government, right? There is the SG United Job and Skills package that you can try on, right? And also there is this Skill Future programs that you can attend, right? To enrich yourself in IT knowledge and to prepare yourself for the future. So finally, I would like to say a big thank you to you for staying with us for 2.5 hours, right? I hope you can pick up an idea or two to move forward, right? To help you enrich your knowledge and also your career in the future. And I would like to thank the moderators, right? Anderson and also Dr. Koh, right? And also the wonderful speakers, right? For sharing your experiences and also your thoughts to the audience. So, and also not forgetting, I would like to thank our partners, the Skill Future, Geylang Serai Community Clubs, right? And also Mayor for actually launching this event early this morning. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Honorable Principal, Mr. Calvin. It's not the end yet. Let's ask those on the Zoom, we'd like to you to switch on your camera and show some love. Put on the love. You know the emoticons that on the Zoom, there's some love. And switch on, and we're going to take a group picture. Yeah, we're going to take a group picture. So panelists and moderator, you all can come into the come into, and then we just take a group picture. Those on Zoom, kindly switch on your camera and we will do a group picture. Yeah, let's do a group picture. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So I will get the FRCS tag team to tell us if they have finished taking the picture, all right? Okay, sorry, we have to arrange ourselves so that we are, okay. Thank you, thank you. Okay, ready? Everyone on the Zoom camera, they on already? Can give me some signal so that I know, because we can't see the Zoom participants. Of course, I'd like to thank everyone there. I think I saw Anthony. I think I saw Lois. Yeah. Thank you for joining us. Ready? Okay, with the count of 3, 2, 1, smile! Great. All right. Okay. Look, we need your feedback as well. Do you know that when you fill out the feedback form, you get some lucky draw gift and so. So we also bring you some lucky draw gift. They will flash up the feedback QR code, and the team will also put in the link into the Zoom chat as well, and also the Facebook Live and the YouTube channel of Geylang Serai Community Club. All right. So remember, your feedback matters to us, and we would like your feedback. So let's us do. Have you all get the feedback screen? And there is some lucky draw, so everyone will get. Yes, this is the lucky draw that you will get. Thanks for the partners GoPure that's supporting this as well. You will get 12% off, and the partner will give you the promo code or the discount code when you want to make a purchase. You can choose a healthy honey, organic honey. All right. So next, we also have some resources that we actually have done for everyone as well. You can actually scan the QR code. Where do you get some information on the skill future? Where do I get some learning as well? And then, and also some of the career future website as well. And this is the resources that we have built for you to refer as well. And of course, Foundation of Rotary Club Singapore is also ATO as well. You can scan this QR code to express interest on our workshop. So same thing, you can scan the QR code, and there's also a bit.ly link for you to follow. It's quite easy. It's always the uppercase SFM 2021 and uppercase R as is registered and uppercase I interest. All right. But the team will also pump in the link into the Zoom chat as well, and also the Facebook page as well. Thank you everyone for having staying for 2.5 hours with us. With that, thank you very much with Skill Future Singapore, Geylang Serai Community Club, and having us to participate in this Skill Future Month 2021. Goodbye.